What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We are officially 4 months away until the start of the 2025 college football season, and I think we're also over 127 days out until the start of the season gets here as well. So with the season coming up, we are pretty much in the month of April. We got predictions coming up in the month of May and everything. I thought, why not do an interesting video here that I kind of look forward to every single year. I've only been doing this now for like the last couple years, but I think this is the third time that I'm doing it. We are going to be predicting where College Gameday is going to go week by week of the 2025 season. So really the exciting part about college football is you wake up every Saturday, right around maybe 8 o'clock or maybe like earlier than that. You get ready for College Gameday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central Time for the game of the weekend, where they talk about a lot of great topics, and then they talk about other games as well coming up, and that's what really just excites you about being a college football fan. And they do this, of course, every Saturday of the season. So I'm going to be predicting where College Gameday is going to go. Some of these picks I don't really feel confident with, and some of them I do feel confident with. Some of them are pretty obvious. So again, they're not going to go to the same, they're going to go to the same location twice. I mean, they do that every year, it seems like, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be just doing the same location only once. So that's only going to be, the similarities here, not the similarities, but just the difference here with College Gameday predictions. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start from week 1 and then work our way all the way to week number 14, which is the last weekend of the regular season. So starting with week 1, I think this is pretty obvious. You got Texas at Ohio State, the biggest game of week 1 in my opinion, on August the 30th. I think they'll go to Columbus because they definitely want to see the defending national champions, and of course this is a huge game, potentially a top 5 preseason matchup here, and this is a rematch, of course, from the playoff semifinal. Now, other options for game day would probably be at Alabama and Florida State, but I don't think they're going to go to Tallahassee because of what Florida State did last year. LSU at Clemson, that's probably their second biggest option there, and then they got Tennessee versus Syracuse in Atlanta, but I don't think that's really a huge game just like this one. So yeah, those are options there on Saturday, but the other games that they had other options for are either on Sunday or Monday. 2 of them are on Sunday, and then the third one is on Monday on Labor Day night. South Carolina versus Virginia Tech is in Atlanta as well. Notre Dame at Miami, if that game was on Saturday, that would definitely probably been a place they could probably go to. And then TCU at North Carolina, Bill Belichick taking over down there, so maybe they give a little hype to Bill Belichick, but I think this one's pretty obvious. Again, week 1, I think they're going to go to Columbus, Ohio for Texas at Ohio State. Again, potentially a preseason top 5 matchup, so they definitely want to see the defending national champions. And it's obviously a game that you cannot miss if you're game day. Moving on to week number 2, another Big Ten versus SEC battle. I think they go to Norman. I think they go to Michigan versus Oklahoma here. This is a prediction I don't really feel confident with, but it pretty much, is kind of the big game here in week number 2 in my opinion. Now you got Iowa at Iowa State. That could be a pretty big option there for that rivalry game. You got Oklahoma State at Oregon, which I don't think they're going to go to that one because the Cowboys were not really good last year. But Illinois at Duke could be a possibility, but yeah, I think they're going to go to Norman though for this one. These are 2 potentially defensive battle teams. That's what I think the game's going to come down to as of right now. We'll see who the better offense is. These 2 teams probably will rely on the football, running the football, to be honest, but Michigan could possibly be a top 25 team, so they can probably go to Norman here to just give that Oklahoma crowd a plenty of fired up experience. So they went to Norman once last year for Tennessee and Oklahoma. Maybe they go to Norman at least one time this year, and it's definitely going to be this game if they probably do that. So yeah, Michigan at Oklahoma. I think this is week 2 here for game day on September the 6th. Moving on to week 3, September the 13th, Texas A&M at Notre Dame. I think they're going to go to Notre Dame, Indiana at least one time this year to see the runner-ups from last year's national championship. And how about this? Interesting enough, they went to College Station, Texas last year for week 1 for this game. I think they do the opposite. I think they go to Notre Dame, Indiana, this time Notre Dame being the home team and Texas A&M being the away team. But instead of week 1, it's in week 3 on September the 13th. Now you had Florida at Miami. That was definitely a big option there that I was going to put here on this video, but I decided to go with this one. one. Again, I think they're going to at least go see Notre Dame at least one time this year and see the runner-ups from last year's national championship. And this is a big game. It's potentially a top 25 matchup. Notre Dame probably will be in the top 10 or something like that, and then Texas A&M just outside the top 20. So yeah, big game here between the SEC and the Independent, between a talented Notre Dame team and a talented Texas A&M team. Week number 4 on September 20th, I think they go to a Big Ten Conference game, Illinois at Indiana. This is a big game here. I'm not saying, I know a lot of people are saying, why this game? Well, Indiana's getting a lot of hype from last year, what they did, and then same thing with Illinois. Illinois is a team that has a lot of experience coming back, and then you look at Indiana, they have to replace a lot, but they'll definitely reload, and they're still definitely going to be a pretty good team. So both of these teams likely could be like preseason top 25 teams. And I forgot to mention in week 3 you had Wisconsin at Alabama, Florida at LSU. That's what I meant to say, and then also Georgia at Tennessee. So yeah, those were probably the options there for week 3. But week 4 you didn't really have a lot of options. You had Florida at Miami, so I meant to say Florida at Miami in week 4 instead of like week 3. So yeah, Florida at Miami is definitely another option here for week 4. But I think they're going to go to Indiana for at least one time this year as well, because of what they did last year. And I think if they go to Indiana, that's definitely going to be this game, because let's say Illinois is ranked in the top 25 and Indiana comes in also as a top 25 team. This is where game day I think will go here for 2025 on September the 20th in week 4. So this is a big game here. I think game day does go to Indiana for this game between Illinois and Indiana. These two teams, of course, did not meet last year in the regular season at all. Moving on to week 5, the last weekend of the month of September, we got a rematch of the Big Ten Championship, Oregon at Penn State. I think game day obviously goes here. I mean, I do feel confident with this pick, but you also got Alabama at Georgia and then LSU at Ole Miss, a couple of SEC matchups there. But I think they definitely want to go see Penn State at least one time this year, and if it's a game that they go to Penn State, it's definitely going to be this one, because again, it's a rematch from last year's Big Ten Championship. Obviously, revenge factor will be on the minds here for the Nittany Lions, so I think this is a pretty safe pick here. I mean, Oregon might not be as good as they were from last year, but they'll still be a top 10 team, and both of these teams, they have a chance to have a top 5 matchup here in this one. Both of these teams could be undefeated at this point, so yeah, week 5, I think they go here to Penn State for Oregon and Penn State in a rematch of the Big Ten Championship in the last weekend of the month of September. Moving on to week 6 on October 4th, you got Texas at Florida. I think they're going to go to Gainesville if Florida does turn out to be as good as we think they're going to be. Now, other options out there, you didn't have a lot, so I think I'm going to really go with this game here. I think this is definitely a pretty obvious pick. I mean, again, if Florida does turn out to be really good, then yeah, they're going to go to Gainesville at least one time this year, and they could probably go up against a potential top 10, top 5 Texas team, so they got a pretty good shot here to pull off the upset in my opinion. Again, not a lot of options for week 6, so I'm going to go with this one. I think this is a pretty safe pick here. Again, Texas at Florida for week 6 for College Game Day. Week 7, I think they go to Illinois at least one time this year. Again, if Illinois turns out to be as good as we think a lot of people are, then they're probably going to go to this one here against Ohio State. Again, this has a chance to be like a top 25 matchup. Ohio State definitely could be a top 5 team. Illinois probably outside the top 20. Again, Illinois has a lot of experience coming back. A lot of people are expecting them to be really good this year. And yeah, if game day does give them that hype, they're definitely going to go to this game for week 11. This is not a big game. It's not really a huge game, but it's definitely one of those upset alert games. I think Illinois definitely has a pretty good shot. Illinois is definitely a tough place to play. But yeah, Ohio State and Illinois in week 7. Again, if Illinois turns out to be as good as we think they're going to be, and some people are saying they're going to be really good, then yeah, they go to Illinois at least one time this year, and I think this is going to be the game that they go to in Week 7 on October the 11th. Moving on to Week 8, I think they finally go to ACC conference matchup. They got SMU at Clemson in Death Valley. I think they're going to go to Clemson, South Carolina at least one time this year as well, and it's right here in this game. It's a rematch from the ACC championship, just like the Big Ten championship. I think they'll definitely want to go see this matchup. Now, SMU may not be as good as they were from last year, but they'll still have some, plenty of playmakers on their roster. Clemson, though, a lot of talent on this team, a lot of experience coming back. They have the most returning production coming back in the country this year. So, yeah, I think they go to Clemson, South Carolina for this one. And I also forgot to mention, Week 7, you also got other options. You got Georgia at Auburn, South Carolina at LSU. You got Oklahoma versus Texas, Florida at Texas A&M, and then Indiana at Oregon. So those were all the options there in Week 7. Only a couple of options here in Week 8. You got the third Saturday of October between Tennessee at Alabama and then Ole Miss at Georgia. But I think they'll at least go to an ACC conference game at least one time, and that's definitely going to be this game here against Clemson and SMU. So yeah, Week 8, I think they go to Clemson, South Carolina for a rematch of the ACC championship. Moving on to Week 9, Texas A&M at LSU. This is always a big game here between these two teams. Not a lot of other options here for this week on October the 25th, so I think this is a pretty safe pick as well. LSU, they're supposed to be really good this year. They could be a top 15 team. Texas A&M definitely will be a top 25 team, so this has definitely a chance to be like a top 15, top 25 matchup if it's possible. But yeah, I think game day is going to go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana at least one time, and Death Valley down there. So yeah, I think LSU and Texas A&M is definitely going to be the game of the weekend if it does happen. So Week 9, they go to LSU versus Texas A&M. Week number 10, I think they finally go to a Big 12 conference game as well. It's a rematch from the Big 12 championship, Arizona State at Iowa State. Now, you had other big options out here. You had Georgia versus Florida in Jacksonville, of course. You had Miami at SMU, and then Penn State at Ohio State. That's always a big game, but I feel like they're going to go see a Big 12 rematch here, the Big 12 championship between Arizona State and Iowa State. If I was a game day host, I would definitely go to this one, even though it's in Week 10. You know, some of these teams may not be as good as we think they're going to be. You know, Iowa State definitely could take a step back of a year, but they're still well coached. But I think the Sun Devils are going to be just fine. They probably will be the favorite to win the Big 12 again because of all the experience they have coming back. So I feel like game day is going to go want to see the two teams that made it to the Big 12 championship last year, and I think this is where they go in week number 10. Again, a lot of other great options out there. I mean, the second great option is definitely Penn State at Ohio State, but I already got Ohio State there from week 1, so I can't choose them again, and that goes for a lot of other teams. Week 11, LSU at Alabama. This is always a big game in the SEC, and I feel like game day is going to go here. There's not a lot of options in Week 11. You got Indiana at Penn State, but I've already gotten Penn State here for a week, and that was against Oregon in Week 5. So, yeah, I think Alabama is going to get game day at least one time this year as well in Tuscaloosa, and if they do that, they're going to get LSU here to, you know, come back at their home place. And, yeah, I know last year's game was not close between these two teams, but I feel like it can be a closer game this time, even though it's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Crimson Tide will have home field advantage. But yeah, it's always a big game here in the SEC between these two teams. So again, not a lot of options for Week 11 except for this one, LSU at Alabama. Moving on to week number 12, this one's pretty obvious, Texas at Georgia. Not a lot of options in week number 12. This is kind of a quiet weekend, so they probably will have the biggest game of the weekend. And yeah, this is a rematch, you know, from a couple of times from last year. Last year, Texas, you know, had the game day home advantage, but this time Georgia might have the home field advantage for this one. And yeah, both of these teams met twice last year, once in the regular season and then once in the SEC championship. You know, both teams will definitely be different compared to last year, but they definitely will still be talented, and I think Georgia's definitely going to get game day at least once this year. So yeah, week 12, I think they go to Athens for the first time, and it does come here against Texas in week number 12. Now week 13, I don't feel confident with it, but there were not a lot of options out there in week 13 except for Tennessee at Florida, but I can't choose Florida, you know, again, because I've already chosen them for a weekend. But I got Duke at North Carolina. I think this has a chance to be a pretty exciting matchup. If North Carolina ends up being really, really good as a team, as a top 25 team, then yeah, they'll get game day at least one time. And if Duke, if they can, you know, succeed under Manny Diaz, continue to succeed under him, then yeah, this has a chance to be one of the best Duke versus North Carolina matchups that we've had in quite some time. You know, North Carolina definitely has dominated this series, but you know, the Tar Heels definitely, I think they're going to get game day if they at least turn out to be really, really good. And if the Blue Devils can, you know, succeed, of course, continue to succeed under Diaz, then yeah, North Carolina and Duke is going to get a game day type game. So I think they go to this one here for week 13. Again, it's not a confident pick for me. I definitely think they'll go to Gainesville for Florida and Tennessee, but again, I've already chosen Florida, so I can't choose them again twice here in this video. So yeah, North Carolina and Duke, November 22nd in Week 13. And then in rivalry weekend, this one's pretty obvious. Ohio State at Michigan, the game. This is a game they go to every year. They never miss out on it, but you got to wonder, after Michigan beating, Ohio State like 4 years in a row, I mean, is it going to ever get old for game day to go to this kind of environment? I don't really know, but, Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard are former players on both of these programs. Kirk Herbstreit went to Ohio State, and then Michigan obviously had Desmond Howard. But, yeah, Week 14, you got other great options out there. You got the Iron Bowl, of course, Alabama at Auburn. You got Clemson at South Carolina in that rivalry game. And then Texas A&M at Texas, but I don't have them going to Austin anywhere, so that might be the second best option here for game day. If Michigan maybe doesn't turn out to be as good as some people are expecting them to be, then yeah, they'll probably go to Austin for Texas and Texas A&M, but again, this is a pretty obvious pick. It's always a really good matchup between the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. Again, Michigan has beaten Ohio State now for the last 4 years. Can the Buckeyes finally snap that streak and finally, get back to where they used to be against Michigan, like dominate the series and everything? But it's kind of hard to tell. But again, Week 14, I think they definitely go to Ann Arbor for this one, and it's definitely a pretty obvious pick. So Ohio State and Michigan, the game and rivalry weekend. So those are my week-by-week predictions for College Game Day for 2020. Do you guys agree or disagree with this list? And give me your game day predictions down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports YouTube channel.